Hey, it's me, Charlie. Want some bacon? Bacon always makes me smile. Which is why I think it's kind of funny that people always say cheese when they're supposed to smile for pictures, when they should be saying bacon. Hey, it's me, Charlie. Want some bacon? Bacon always makes me smile. Which is why I think it's kind of funny that people always say cheese when they're supposed to smile for pictures, when they should be saying bacon.
Sunday with Shakespeare. Hi. Thank you all for making it today. Hi, Corey. Hi, Finn. Hi, Ashley. So good to see you. And Sony Chan, nice to see you. Everyone, I would like to introduce you to my beloved friend, if you have not already seen her on I Am Fun Size, the illustrious and beautiful Caroline Kinsolving.
Hi, thank you for having me. And
oh my goodness, for having you. This was your idea. This is your
I don't really know what to say on this forum. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having us.
Yes. So all of you lovelies, thank you so much for being here. We are doing this super crazy, casual Shakespeare's Women hang for many, 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 many reasons. First of all, Caroline and I are great lovers of the theater, and we have bonded over the years through that. In fact, when we first met at one of those miserable casting director workshops, we bonded because she had seen a play that I had done years ago, and then we connected, and I found out she too is just a great lover of the theater. She's an incredible theater actress. She's done a ton of Shakespeare. She's absolutely brilliant and gorgeous, not to mention a wonderful human being.
Anjali, God,
that's
so
okay.
kind.
Make you blush. That's fine. I didn't make the news.
Everyone lower your standards.
We'll talk about them lowering their expectations in just a minute. But in terms of who she is, Caroline also created Theater for Good, which I'm going to have her talk about in a little bit here. Theater for Good and Yoga for Good, because in addition to being an incredible actress, she is also an incredibly adept yoga practitioner. It seems both of my caros in my life are yoginis. Caroline and Carolina are both yoginis. Look at that, you guys. You guys know both of them now. Now I've introduced you to another one. So Caroline has done a lot of good with theater, and I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what Theater for Good is.
Sure. So long ago and far away, 4 years ago, or maybe 5 now, the world changed quite a bit. Anyone? Anyway, we don't have to get into that. But I kind of had that rush that many people had of like, good God, I've got to do something. And I kind of got to that point in my life that I've really got the clear message that I was not allowed to complain about the state of the world unless I was doing something. And I have a lot of friends doing way more than I am. So I applaud all of you. But I thought, well, what can I do? I teach yoga on the side. I'm a professional actor. And it just kind of came to me to take a little time out of every week to volunteer my time. And out of that came Yoga for Good. And I just teach one class right now online, but often live. And that was 3 years ago that started officially, maybe now 4. And it was very simple. We actually had a cowboy boot. People came, put cash in it. I would pool that together and I would donate it, right? And it was just a little bit. And over 3 years, 3.5 years, I've now donated over $30,000 to different good causes. And then I was also itching to do more theater and acting. And so I kind of took that same model and applied it to Theater for Good. And I sort of corralled people around here and then dear, talented, wonderful friends. And we did a bunch of productions with the same idea that people could come, they could donate, they could pay what they could. I forgot to mention that before, but I really wanted to bring theater as well as yoga to people who couldn't necessarily afford it otherwise. And again, super simple. They paid what they could, pooled it together, and we donated it. And I think through that we've done about like $6,000. So I think the reason somebody said to me, like, don't advertise it, you're being so heady. And I thought, well, the only reason I am telling people about it is not to pat myself on the back at all, but to just be a small example of somebody who is not a millionaire, but has become a little philanthropist. And that's just to say that you can participate in the world if you want it to change. And it doesn't have to be in a huge way. It can be in a small way that adds up. And that's been such a wonderful thing about all of this. And it gives back so much more than one could ever give. So with that, I just encourage everyone to find something that they love to do and do it with friends or offer it to communities, and then set that up and say, I'll do it for free if you need to do it for free. But if you want to pay me a little something, I'm going to give it away and see what happens. And that's all.
And I love that. And I love that you came to me with this idea, because we've actually never had the opportunity to perform together, which is crazy. And both of us do love the Shakespeare. And since yesterday was World Theater Day and this month is Women's History Month, it felt like the perfect time to put together something about Shakespeare's women. First of all, for those of you that are here who have the facility to use several gadgets at once or jump from things, please, if you could pop it out on the interwebs right now that you're watching this and get some more people to come in, as many people as we can have. We're really excited to do it. And we're donating today all of the funds that we raise. We're donating to the ASPCA. And the reason we are donating to the ASPCA for all the furry little creatures is because Caroline is the reason that I have Charlie Dog, who is not making an appearance today because he's sitting outside sunning himself. He is staged a coup. He's like, I'm out. Sorry. It's not happening. I'm not sitting inside. It's gorgeous outside. But if it wasn't for Caroline, I wouldn't have Charlie. She was volunteering at an organization called Much Love Animal Society or Much Love Animal Rescue in Santa Monica. And I had decided that I wanted to have a dog for the first time. And she said, just come, like, visit the doggies here. Like, come get to know dogs here. Find out, like, get a sense of what dogs are like. And that day I fell in love. It was love at first sight, got Charlie, and that was the end of it. So it's all because of you. It's all
And
because of you.
I'll just tag on a couple things that I've learned doing all of that. So that was another thing. I lived in a place in Santa Monica where I couldn't have a dog, but I really wanted to do something with animals. And so I just volunteered my time at that time to just walk them every week, which was so pleasant. And I totally fell in love with them. And again, I was donating my time, but I was getting so much back, right? And then with this connection of Anjali and Charlie, that's given back a lot as well. Anyone can rescue a dog, almost anyone. I think a lot of people were like, well, you're an actress and you're traveling and your life is all wild. And I live in an apartment in Hollywood. And I will just say that you could just make it happen. And obviously, if you're a responsible human being, but I don't want to tell everybody, but a lot of people think they would go, oh, I wish I could have one, but, and there was a lot of that. And it's my dog, whose name is Petruchio, a Shakespearean character, nerd, big nerd, is truly one of, or the greatest thing I've ever done. And again, I just want to stress, please rescue. Bred dogs and shop dogs have come from a really bad place, and I don't have to get into it, but Google it. All the information's out there. There are so many dogs that need homes. And finally, I will just say that if you are interested in having a dog and you're a responsible human being, but you're worried, oh, you don't have enough time to give them 5-mile walks every day, you will be giving them a better life than they have right now in these tiny, tiny cages waiting to have a family. So it's the end of the pandemic, great time to look around on, I think there's like Pet Finder, which is adoptions.
Pet Finder is great. Pet Finder, I love Pet Finder.
Please try to not get purebreds and not get puppy shop dogs. Rescue. All right, I'll stop preaching.
People to hear those stories of them, of the things that go on with the animals, the bred animals. But it is not painful to do Shakespeare. Do you like that segue?
Wow.
What's funny? Okay, so here, first of all, I want to say, I just have to blanket say this. One of the reasons that I'm excited to do this in as casual a format as we are doing it, like we're practically cold reading a lot of these scenes, you guys, although we've played some of these roles before. But one of the reasons I'm excited to do it is I feel like Shakespeare, a lot of people think that there's like normal and Shakespeare, and it's very, a lot of people find it very esoteric and find it unreachable and find it intimidating. And one of the things I'm excited to do here is sort of demystify it and make it fun for all of you and make you realize that these are just people going through the same things that we go through now, talking slightly differently. And a lot differently, but part of what is so lovely about Shakespeare, and we've talked about this a little bit amongst ourselves, Caroline and I, is precisely that the language is so rich and you can like chew into it like a delicious flourless chocolate cake. I don't know, I'm craving that right now, I guess. Like it's gooey and rich and delicious, and you can really, really enjoy the language. And that's part of what's fun about that heightened speak, is that it is, Caroline, you were saying this the other day, that it's almost therapeutic to feel the language in your mouth and to be able to speak that intentionally, right?
Yeah, I would say it's not only that way for the speaker, but also for the listener, the audience. There's something, I think yesterday I likened it to, in yoga, there's, one of the branches of the yoga practice is chanting Sanskrit. And don't worry, I won't make anyone do that. And I don't teach that very often, but there is something very beautiful when you're listening to chants, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Sanskrit, or when you're speaking it over and over again. And it's not only the meaning, right? It's actually the sound, the vibration in your throat, and the muscles moving around your mouth. That's quite healing, right? And they often say that singers are quite joyous, some of them, because they're using their vocal cords. They're kind of letting it out, right? Going back to listening,
and the vibration
to language. Sorry?
The vibration of it too is such an important thing. I mean, whether you are a singer or not, singing when you are relaxed and just doing it for fun feels good. It's because you're moving that breath from a deeper place.
And the same with listening to it, and the same with poetry as well. Speaking poetry, but listening to it as well. So there's something sort of heightened, and I said that, it's different watching Shakespeare than it is watching cartoons. Both are really lovely in very different ways. But I feel personally that Shakespeare or great poetry sort of lifts us. I think that's true of classical music as well. There's something about, waking up to Mozart or Vivaldi or Bartok or Bach, it's enriching. So hopefully this will be a tiny bit enriching for everyone. Should we get to it?
Yeah, let's jump into it. So the first scene that we have chosen is from a play that both of us have had a chance to do, which is exciting, called As You Like It, which many of you may be familiar with, for those of you who are not. This is the story of, gosh, I don't even know where to begin. I feel like I need you to make this first quick synopsis about Rosalind and her situation. Can I trouble you?
So sure. Rosalind's been banished. She goes to the woods and she dresses like a man. This is me dressing like a man this morning. And so that she can survive. And she brings along her best friend, Celia. Rosalind's just recently sort of gotten a huge crush on a guy named Orlando. Orlando is starting to put poetry around the woods and pinning them up on trees, and the girls are finding them. And I think that's kind of all you need to know.
That is pretty much it. The one thing is that he's putting this poetry up on the trees about the woman that he's fallen in love with. And Rosalind is currently in love with him as well, but dressed as a man. But neither of them know about either one's situation. That's kind of the exciting thing. And her friend Celia, portrayed by me today. What if I did the whole thing like this? Her friend Celia, portrayed by me today, is just to me the perfect example of a wing woman. She's a great wing woman. So this is Shakespeare's wing woman moment.
That's true.
So we've walked around and we've found all of these verses, and I have a pad of paper because props are fun, right? Props are fun. All right, here we go. I'm gonna get you here. Didst thou hear these verses?
Oh yeah, I heard them all, and more too, for some of them had in them more feet than the verses could bear.
That's no matter, the feet might bear the verses.
Aye, but the feet were lame and could not bear themselves without the verse, and therefore stood lamely in the verse.
But didst thou hear without wondering how thy name should be hanged and carved upon these trees?
I was 7 of the 9 days out of the wonder before you came. For look here, what I found on a palm tree. I was never so berhymed since Pythagoras' time that I was an Irish rat, which I can hardly remember.
Trow you, who hath done this?
Is it a man?
And a chain that you once wore around his neck. Oh, change you color. Oh, Lord, is it a hard matter for friends to meet, but mountains may be removed with earthquakes and so encounter?
Nay, but who is it?
Is it possible?
I prithee now with most petitionary vehemence tell me who it is.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, and most wonderful, wonderful, and yet again wonderful, and after that, out of all whooping.
Oh, good my complexion, dost thou think, though I am comparisoned like a man, I have a doublet and hose in my disposition? 1 inch of delay more is a South Sea of discovery. I prithee, tell me who it is quickly, and speak apace. I would thou couldst stammer, that thou mightst pour this concealed man out of thy mouth, as wine comes out of a narrow-mouthed bottle, either too much at once, or none at all. I prithee, take the cork out of thy mouth, that I may drink thy tidings.
So you may put a man in your belly.
Is he of God's making? What manner of man? Is his head worth a hat, or his chin worth a beard?
Oh, nay, he hath but a little beard.
Why, God will send more, if the man will be thankful. Let me stay the growth of his beard, if thou delay me not the knowledge of his chin.
It is young Orlando. It took the wrestler's heels and your heart both in an instant.
The devil, take mocking, speak, sad brow and true maid.
In faith, cause 'tis he.
Orlando.
Orlando.
What shall I do with my doublet and hose? What did he when thou sawest him? What said he? How looked he? Wherein went he? What makes him here? Did he ask for me? Where he remains he? How parted he with thee? And when shalt thou see him again? Answer me in 1 word.
You must borrow me Gargantua's mouth first. 'Tis a word too great for any mouth of this age's size. To say aye and no to these particulars is more than to answer in a catechism.
But doth he know that I am in this forest and in man's apparel? Looks he as freshly as he did the day you wrestled?
It is as easy to count atomies as to resolve the propositions of a lover. But take a taste of my finding him and relish it with good observance. I found him under a tree, like a dropped acorn.
Oh, it may be well called Jove's tree when it drops forth such fruit.
Give me audience, good madam.
Proceed.
There lay he, stretched along like a wounded knight.
Though it be pity to see such a sight, it well becomes the ground.
Right holla to thy tongue, I prithee, it curvets unseasonably. He was furnished like a hunter.
Oh, ominous! He comes to kill my heart.
I would sing my song without a burden. Thou bringst me out of tune.
Do you know I am not a woman? When I think, I must speak. Sorry, sweet, say on.
You bring me out. Soft. Comes he not here? And we react to someone who's not actually standing there because acting, you see. Oh, you guys, this whole show is just so much delight and fun. I cannot even deal with it. Like, I just want to do the show over and over and over again. Now, when you did it, you actually played Rosalind, right?
I did. And yeah, and you played Phoebe, right?
I played Phoebe, the
the
callous,
perfect Celia.
the callous Phoebe. I want to play Celia someday, I have to say. But Phoebe's fun because she's a jerk.
She is fun.
Phoebe's fun because she's a sassy pants, and I like being the sassy pantses.
That's true.
All right, let me check in with the chat here. Oh, hi, Talon Poppy. Good to see you. Who else is here? Are there any new folks here that I haven't said hi to? Got Ashley, Firecracker X, Finn still here. Dark Flimmer 3. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's D4 Irk Flimmer 3. That's how I'm going to pronounce your name. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Nachesa. So on we go. This next one I'm actually really excited about because it is the one that we are least familiar with as a play, the two of us together. But this morning, Caroline found theater gold online because she found some footage of a musical version of this with Dame Judi Dench in it. This is from The Comedy of Errors. This is a scene between Adriana and Luciana. Adriana is, they're sisters. Adriana is married. Luciana is not. And this is one of the many scenes in Shakespeare where you find two women talking about the plight of women with men, and the dynamic between women and men. And oh, it's supposed to be Dark Flame. Thanks, Ashley. Sorry, Deferarch is flame. I got it. Dark Flame. That's that person's name. I didn't get it with the
Thank
numbers.
goodness they got that
Oh,
pronunciation.
you guys know that Auntie is a little bit slow. That was me speaking Anjali's when I did it. So anyway, I love that there are so many moments in Shakespeare, where both men and women do this, but particularly since we're talking about Shakespeare's women, that women kind of go back and forth about either talking about guys behind their back, or and why the dynamic is not behind their back, but why the dynamic is so messed up, or talking about how their own situation is so messed up. Because what, if you think back in the time of Shakespeare, these roles were all played by men. So these were men, and Shakespeare, allegedly a man, talking about the plight of women in a very, I think, intuitive way in a lot of these situations, because the dynamic, women were relatively powerless in that society, and which is why so many of the women in Shakespeare's plays dress up as men, because it's for safety, for being able to act a different way, and it creates such a cool dynamic in all of the plots. So anyway, I'm excited to
add one thing, if I may. As I was going over things the last couple of days, I this is an obvious statement, but obviously we're two women doing scenes between two women. And it's really interesting to see the vast array of opinions about men that Shakespeare wrote for these female characters. And I was just thinking, I was reflecting on playing Luciana, which I think is, that's how one might pronounce it in Italian.
I feel like Luciana is correct, because theoretically this is,
That's
I don't
okay.
know.
A lot of people say Viola, and I believe it's Viola, but depending on where you are.
I don't know, tomato too.
Luciana's opinion of marriage and men is quite different from a few other opinions. And I was sort of reflecting on Kate in Taming of the Shrew, which we might visit later. We'll see what time it is. And there is, I think, playing Shakespeare's women, in my experience, has given me a place to go with my forthrightness and my strength. But I've also learned that lovely dance between men and women. And I think Luciana has some interesting advice to take with a grain of salt these days, as to how to do that little tango. So here we go with Adriana and Luciana.
Right. Oh, and I'm mad because my husband hasn't come home on time, and his servant hasn't come home either. Neither one of them. They've just gone out, and I can't find them, and I'm pissed off.
We're sisters in this.
Yes. Neither my husband nor the slave returned, that in such haste I sent to seek his master. Sure, Luciana, it is 2:00.
Perhaps some merchant hath invited him, and from the mart he's somewhere gone to dinner. Good sister, let us dine and never fret. A man is master of his liberty. Time is their master, and when they see time, they'll go or come. If so, be patient, sister.
Why should their liberty than ours be more?
Because their business still lies at a door.
Look, when I serve him so, he takes it ill.
Oh, no, he is the bridle of your will.
None but asses will be bridled so.
Why, headstrong liberty is lashed with woe. There's nothing situate under heaven's eye, but hath his bound in earth, in sea, in sky. The beasts, the fishes, and the winged fowls are their male subjects, and at their controls men more divine, the masters of all these, lords of the wide world and wild watery seas, endued with intellectual sense and souls of more preeminence than fish and fowls, are masters to their females. And then let your will attend on their accords.
Hmm. This servitude makes you to keep unwed.
Not this, the troubles of the marriage bed.
But were you wedded, you would bear some sway.
Ere I learn love, I'll practice to obey.
How if your husband starts some other where?
Till he come home again, I would forbear.
Oh, patience unmoved! No marvel, though she pause, they can be meek that have no other cause. A wretched soul, bruised with adversity, we bid be quiet when we hear it cry. But were we burdened with like weight of pain, as much or more would we ourselves complain. So thou, that hast no unkind mate to grieve thee, with urging helpless patience wouldst relieve me. But if thou live to see like right bereft, this full-begged patience in thee will be left.
Well, I will marry one day, but to try. Yep. Here comes your man. Now is your husband nigh. All right.
And again, we react to a man who comes in that was the ending of another person. All of these scenes seem to end with someone showing up.
The next one does too. I just realized that.
It sure does. They all do. At some point or another, someone has to show up to change the dynamic, right? Yeah, I am dying to go back and like watch that whole version of the Comedy of Errors that you said. I'm sure we can find more footage on it because
yeah, it's a 1976 Royal
and it's a musical.
directed by
musical.
Trevor Nunn.
I mean, I can't even. I can't even imagine. And watching Dame Judi Dench, I would watch her read the phone book. So watching her do this is just like,
so funny.
I want it. All righty, let's move on. Oh yes, drama. It's time for drama. So I don't think any dive into Shakespeare's Women would be complete without a little bit of Romeo and Juliet. Because we all know about young Juliet, but also there are three incredible female roles in this play, and even the smallest one, or one of the smallest ones, because Lady Montague is really like, does she even have any lines? I think she even has any lines. But
she goes Romeo or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like she says her son's name and then she bye. But there are three incredible roles for women in this particular play. Obviously Juliet, and the nurse, and then her mother, Lady Capulet, who is an oft considered, smaller or not. People think of it as a small role, but you played her and you have such a cool take on her and such a cool insight into her that I don't know that everybody has. So I would love for you to share that with the world. Also, you guys, if anybody is there anybody here who's not familiar with the story of Romeo and Juliet? And if you are, pop it in the chat and we'll give you a little synopsis, sort of.
We could just say two houses both alike in dignity.
Yeah, exactly.
Go on from there. But in terms of Lady Capulet, I had an interesting experience. It's sort of one of my favorite stories about Los Angeles, but I was fresh from New York and having trained there, and I have a sort of a lower voice for a chick, and I dressed like a New Yorker for my first audition, and it was sort of an open call for Romeo and Juliet, and I really wanted to play Juliet. And I wore a J. Crew pantsuit and went in with a monologue, and then I got a call back, and I was thrilled, and I went back in and I started doing the gallop a pace, and they stopped me, and the director was like, "Oh, sorry, we were calling you back for the mother." And I was still in my 20s, and that always really spoke to me as a Los Angeles experience. And one thing, if you're looking into acting, one thing to know is, what is your type? And I had to make a very quick piece with the fact that I would never play ingenues. I would always play sort of leading ladies and ladies. So I got the role of Lady Capulet. And it was a great experience because I did learn there are no small parts, only small actors. But I really liked playing her just because I got to build a backstory that really made sense considering the text. And I like this scene because of all that's unsaid. And the stakes are extraordinarily high. Juliet has just lost her virginity and fallen in love with the guy that just killed her cousin.
And that's the shortest way that you could possibly say it. Like, that's the most direct.
Just put that together in your brain. And Lady Capulet, lady, is really important to recognize here, because there's so much social status. And what I also like about Lady Capulet is that I think she sees herself in her daughter, because obviously she was also married very young, and there's a certain sense of survival there. A lot less freedom than there is now, ladies. So there is a sense of like, I was once a young girl with a heart and passion and love, and who knows what's going on with Capulet and Lady Capulet. But I sort of built in there that it's all about the social standing and what the change between a girl and a woman in that way, and the loss of innocence. So there's that. And then what I think is interesting, which you can speak to a little bit more, Anjali, is that Juliet knows she's got to cover her emotions, because right now Lady Capulet is coming in and being like, I hate that guy that killed my beloved nephew Tybalt. And Juliet is like, I just slept with and fell in love with that guy that killed my cousin Tybalt. And I think that that's where this starts. But just keep in mind all the high stakes underneath this sort of pressure cooker of a situation.
Yeah. And it's incredible. I was very lucky because I got to play Juliet twice in like between 3 years' time. And I love that role so much for so many reasons, not the least of which is the ride that Juliet takes from the very beginning of the play to the end of the play pretty much encompasses any human emotion and experience. Like, it's just the ecstasy to the depths of despair, love, hate, anger, redemption. Like, it's all in there. It's all in there. And this is a girl who is 2 weeks from turning 14. Right? That's exactly, like, she's 13. She's just about to turn 14, which is theoretically like you've come of age, let's marry you off back then. And the fact that all of that is boiling up inside her, and so she's got this she's got the fire of youth, but then so much of what she does in so many of her conversations with Romeo and her conversations with others is so standing in her power. We're not doing this scene today, but like when she's talking with Romeo and Romeo's trying to woo her, and she's like, everything you're saying is the wrong thing, do this better. Speak not of the moon, the inconstant moon. Like, she just gets in his face. She's just like that powerful girl, and I love that about her. I love that she stands in that. And you definitely see her stand in her power here when she has to let her mother know what she thinks of the news that she's bringing her. So let's imagine, because we haven't done the play leading up to this part, let's all imagine that I've been crying my face off for a little while. I'll catch up. Romeo has literally just left my bedroom, and I am heartbroken for 2 reasons. One, that he's left, and 2, that he's just killed my cousin, and I loved my cousin tremendously much. So there's a whole lot going on, and then my mom calls. So here we go. Let me get my photo back here. Okay. Fortune. All men call thee fickle. If thou art fickle, what dost thou with him that is renowned for faith? Be fickle, Fortune, for then I hope thou wilt not keep him long, but send him back.
Oh, daughter, are you up?
Who is it is it my lady mother? Is she not down so late or up so early? What unaccustomed cause procures her hither?
Why, how now, Juliet?
Madam, I am not well.
Ever more weeping for your cousin's death. What, wilt thou wash him from his grave with tears? And if thou couldst not make him live. Therefore have done. Some grief shows much of love, but much of grief shows still some want of wit.
Yet let me weep for such a feeling loss.
So shall you feel the loss, but not the friend which you weep for.
Feeling so the loss cannot choose but ever weep the friend.
Well, girl, thou weepst not so much for his death, as that the villain lives which slaughtered him.
What villain, madam?
That same villain, Romeo.
Villain and he be many miles asunder. God pardon him. I do with all my heart, and yet no man like he doth grieve my heart.
That is because the traitor murderer lives.
I, madam, from the reach of these my hands, would none but I might venge my cousin's death.
We'll have vengeance for it. Fear thou not. Then weep no more. Ascend to one and Mantua, where that same banished runagate doth live, shall give him such an unaccustomed dram that he shall soon keep Tybalt company. And then, I hope, thou wilt be satisfied.
Indeed, I never will be satisfied till I behold with Romeo, till I behold him dead. Is my poor heart for a kinsman vexed? Madam, if you could find out but a man to bear a poison, I would temper it, that Romeo should upon receipt thereof should sleep in quiet. My heart abhors to hear him named, and cannot come to him to wreak the love I bore my cousin upon his body that slaughtered him.
Find thou the means, and I'll find such a man. But now, I'll tell thee joyful tidings, girl.
And joy comes well in such a needy time. What are they, I beseech your ladyship?
Well, thou hast a careful father, child. One who, to put thee from thy heaviness, hath sorted out a sudden day of joy that thou expectst not, nor I look not for.
In happy time. What day is that?
Marry, my child. Early next Thursday morn, the gallant, young, and noble gentleman, the County Paris, at St. Peter's Church, shall happily make thee there a joyful bride.
Now by St. Peter's Church, and Peter too, he shall not make me there a joyful bride. I wonder at this haste, that I must wed ere he that should be husband comes to woo. I pray you tell my lord and father, madam, I will not marry yet, and when I do, I swear it shall be Romeo, whom you know I hate, rather than Paris. These are news indeed.
Ah, here comes your father. Tell him so yourself, and see how he will take it at your hands. All right.
Dum, 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 dum.
He comes in and beats the crap out of her.
And beats me up. My
Yeah.
dad. We did this. He literally picked me up by the head. Like we worked it out that he picked me up. He put his hands on my face and picked me up off the floor. It was so good because I'm a tiny human.
You are a tiny little thing.
And
That would
Capulet, especially the second time, my Papa Capulet was a big guy, like big, strong guy, like super strong guy. Not big, but like he was just like, rah. It was amazing.
you keep going with this dramatic track.
Yes.
Throw in just a couple of monologues, and I chose this monologue because you just can't do Shakespeare's Women without doing Beatrice. And we looked, and there aren't really one-on-one. That's actually not true. Hero and Margaret, I think. But anyway, I like Beatrice. So the setup here is that Hero, my cousin, has just been completely embarrassed at her wedding by her groom, because there's been a great misunderstanding about her chastity, which I think I'm going to say just that. And Beatrice is despairing, and Benedict, her crush and his crush, they're crushing on each other. has just walked in, and usually they're very sarcastic and funny, and this is a very deep moment of grief and then an outcome of love. But this is her really railing against the injustice that Hero has suffered, and she's speaking to Benedict.
I'm gonna hide. Bye.
Oh, bye, flower. You dare easier be friends with me than fight with my enemy? Is he not approved in the height a villain that hath slandered, scorned, dishonored my kinswoman? Oh, that I were a man! What bear her in hand until they come to take hands, and then with public accusation, uncovered slander, unmitigated rancor. Oh God, that I were a man, I would eat his heart in the marketplace. Talk with a man out a window, a proper saying. Sweet Hero, she is wronged, she is slandered, she is undone. Princes and counties, surely a princely testimony, a goodly count confect, a sweet, gallant, surely. Oh, that I were a man for his sake, that I had any friend would be a man for my sake. But manhood is melted into courtesies, valor into compliment, and men are only turned into tongue, and trim ones too. He is now as valiant as Hercules, that only tells a lie and swears it. I cannot be a man with wishing. Therefore, I will die a woman with grieving.
Oh,
Anjali, come back.
it's so beautiful when you do that monologue. I love it so much. I want to see you do Beatrice so badly.
Oh, I feel like I do Beatrice every day of my life.
I love it. I love her. I love you as her. It's so, so, so good. I
I
can't.
almost named the dog Benedict, but I just didn't want to scream that out loud all the time. Benedict!
Yeah, that's true. That's
Just
true.
go.
Patrook is fun though. Patrook is fun, especially because you call him Petruchio. I like it.
All right.
Patrook.
So, oh, this is just one of my favorite plays in the whole wide world. And I wanted to say something just about Shakespeare and the roles in general that I thought of yesterday when we were chatting. And the best advice I ever got about acting, and especially Shakespeare, I had booked one of my first jobs in Los Angeles, which was playing Rosalind in As You Like It, which is sort of known as the Hamlet of the female roles. And I was totally overwhelmed and terrified. And so I emailed my dad's best friend, who happens to be Dame Janet Suzman, who's written the greatest books on Shakespeare and is brilliant and has been nominated for an Academy Award and is known very well for lots of things, but especially for playing Cleopatra. I still think she is the grand lady of the Royal Shakespeare Company. And I said, what do I do? I'm playing Rosalind. What do I do? And I think she wrote one line back, and she said, let it happen to you. And I think about that a lot, because I think that when we get a role, especially that's so important, like Hamlet or something, we go, I got to do something with this. I got to make it special. I got to make it mine. And that's, in my opinion, not quite right, because that's coming from this sort of ego place, which is like, do you think you're smarter than Shakespeare? Maybe I might be good. And there's something that's really nice about the surrendering and the allowing and I love sort of the sense that we actors are vessels for these characters. And to just let Shakespeare's sounds and words and poetry, like we talked about before, happen to you is
Yep.
the way to sort of guide through the experience and playing it. So I just wanted to add that going into one of my favorite plays. It's a funny play, 12th Night. And if you want me to do the setup, I can.
Yes, I do.
12th Night is absolutely my favorite play until 3/4 in, and then I usually turn it off because it gets quite weird and messy, and I hate what they do to Malvolio. But setup is that there's a twin girl and a twin boy, Viola and Sebastian. They're on a ship. The ship, there's a storm, and the ship crashes and sinks, and Viola is washed up on shore, believing that her twin brother is dead. However, later in the play, she discovers that
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
sorry, spoiler alert. You still see it anyway. There's a lot of surprises.
It's not cool stuff.
But Viola is washed up on the shore of this foreign land, and I really love that as a metaphor. Sometimes we get washed up into a foreign land. That's exactly how I felt when I went to Los Angeles, which is, and there's something about Illyria, which is the land that she's washed up on, that's very whimsical and wacky, and people are a little off their rocker, and Viola is just trying to survive. And so what does she do to survive? The same thing Rosalind did, which is dress as a man.
Well, since I'm Viola,
you have to do it because I'm doing Olivia, right? Okay. That was just to illustrate.
I'm a man now, guys. Do I look like a man?
You're so manly now.
So manly.
Yeah, you're too beautiful. But anyway, so she dresses as a man to survive, and she goes and works for Prince Orsino, or Count Orsino. And Count Orsino says, sure, I'll hire you, but you have to go and woo this woman that I want for me. That's Viola's new job. Viola is now going under the name Cesario. And so there's this just wonderful scene, two scenes, where this first one is Viola going into Olivia's house to officially woo her for the Count Orsino. And I think that's all we need to know.
I think that's absolutely all we need to know.
Okay. Here we go. I'm just going to use my glasses as my veil because I don't really have a veil, so I'll just do this. My blue blockers.
Oh, and also just to set up the scene, I have just come into Olivia's. Viola, have just come into Olivia's antechamber, and she's there with all of her maids. So I don't know that she's who she is yet. I just see a bunch of ladies that I've never met before. Okay.
Give me my veil, come throw it over my face. Well, once more, here, Orsino's embassy.
The honorable lady of the house, which is she?
Speak to me. I shall answer for her. Your will?
Most radiant, exquisite, and unmatchable beauty. I pray you, tell me if this be the lady of the house, for I never saw her. I would be loath to cast away my speech, for besides that it is excellently well penned, I have taken great pains to con it. Good beauties, let me sustain no scorn. I'm very comfortable, even to the least sinister usage.
Whence came you, sir?
I can say little more than I have studied, and that question's out of my part. Good gentle one, give me modest assurance that if you be the lady of the house, that I may proceed in my speech.
You a comedian?
No, my profound heart. And yet, by the very fangs of malice, I swear I am not that I play. Are you the lady of the house?
If I do not usurp myself, I am.
Most certain, if you are she, you do usurp yourself, for what is yours to bestow is not yours to reserve. But this is from my commission. I will on with my speech in your praise, then show you the heart of my message.
Come to what is important, and I forgive you the praise.
But alas, I took great pains to study it, and 'tis poetical.
It is the more like to be famed. I pray you, keep it in. I heard you were saucy at my gates, and allowed your approach rather to wonder at you than to hear you. If you be not mad, be gone. If you have reason, be brief. 'Tis not that time of moon with me to make in so skipping a dialogue.
No, good swabber, I am to hull here a little longer. Some mollification for your giant sweet lady. Tell me your mind. I am a messenger.
Sure, you have some hideous matter to deliver when the courtesy of it is so fearful.
It alone concerns your ear. I bring no overture of war, no taxation of homage. I hold the olive in my hand. My words are as full of peace as of matter.
Yet you began rudely. What are you? What would you?
The rudeness that hath appeared in me have I learned from my entertainment. What I am and what I would are as secret as maidenhead, to your ears divinity, to any other's profanation.
Give us the place alone. We will hear this divinity. Now, what is your text?
Most sweet lady.
A comfortable doctrine, and much may be said of it. Where lies your text?
In Orsino's bosom.
In his bosom. In what chapter of his bosom?
To answer by the method in the first of his heart.
Ah, I have read it. It is heresy. Have you no more to say?
Good lady, let me see your face.
Have you any commission from your lord to negotiate with my face? You are now out of your text. But we will draw the curtain and show you the picture. Look you, sir, such a one I was this present. Is't not well done?
Excellently done, if God did all.
'Tis in grain, sir, it will endure wind and weather.
'Tis beauty truly blent, whose red and white nature's own sweet and cunning hand laid on. Lady, you are the cruelest she alive, if you will lead these graces to the grave and leave the world no copy.
Oh, sir, I will not be so hard-hearted. I will give out divers schedules of my beauty. It shall be inventoried, and every particle and utensil labeled to my will, as item 2 lips, indifferent red, item 2 gray eyes with lids to them, item 1 neck, 1 chin, and so forth. Were you sent hither to praise me?
I'll see you what you are. You are too proud. But if you were the devil, you are fair. My lord and master loves you. Oh, such love could be but recompensed, though you were crowned the nonpareil but beauty.
How does he love me?
With adorations, fertile tears, with groans that thunder love, with sighs of fire.
Your lord does know my mind. I cannot love him. But I suppose him virtuous, know him noble, of great estate, of fresh and stainless youth. In voices well divulged, free, learned, and valiant, and in dimension and the shape of nature a gracious person. But yet I cannot love him. Might have took his answer long ago.
If I did love you in my master's flame with such a suffering, such a deadly life, in your denial, I would find no sense. I would not understand it.
Why? What would you?
Make me a willow cabin at your gate, and call upon the soul within the house. Write loyal cantons of contemned love, and sing them loud, even in the dead of night. Hallow your name to the reverberate hills, and make the babbling gossip of the air cry out, Olivia! Oh, you should not rest between the elements of air and earth, but you should pity me.
You might do much. What is your parentage?
Above my fortunes, yet my state is well. I am a gentleman.
Get you to your lord. I cannot love him. Let him send no more. Unless, perchance, you come to me again to tell me how he takes it. Very well. I thank you for your pains. Spend this for me.
I am no feed post, lady. Keep your purse. My master, not myself, lacks recompense. Love make his heart of flint that you shall love, and let your fervor, like my master's, be placed in contempt. Farewell, fair cruelty.
What is your parentage? Above my fortune, yet my state is well. I am a gentleman. Oh, I'll be sworn thou art. Thy tongue, thy face, thy limbs, actions, and spirit do give thee fivefold blaze, and not too fast. Soft, soft, unless the master were the man. How now? Even so quickly may one catch the plague? Methinks I feel this youth's perfections with an invisible and subtle stealth to creep in at mine eyes. Well, let it be. What ho, Malvolio! Run after that same peevish messenger, the county's man. He left this ring with him. Would I or not? Tell him I'll none of it. Desire him not to flatter with his lord, nor hold him up with hopes. I am not for him. If that the youth will come this way tomorrow, I will give him reason for it. Hie thee, Malvolio. I do, I know not what, and fear to find mine eye a greater flatterer than my mind. Fate, show thy force. Ourselves we do not owe. What is decreed will be, and be this so.
Ha
Malvolio runs after Viola,
Yes.
finds her, and throws the ring at her and says, Olivia sent you this. It's yours. And leaves Viola to think these thoughts.
I left no ring with her. What means this lady? Fortune forbid my outside have not charmed her. She made good view of me, indeed, so much that sure methought her eyes had lost her tongue, for she did speak and starts distractedly. Oh, she loves me sure. The cunning of her passion invites me in this churlish messenger. None of my lord's ring? Why, he sent her none. I am the man. Oh, if it be so as 'tis, poor lady, she were better love a dream. Oh, disguise, thou art a wickedness, wherein the pregnant enemy does much. How easy is it for the proper false in women's waxen hearts to set their forms? Well, alas, our frailty is the cause, not we, for such as we are made of, such we be. How will this fadge? My master loves her dearly, and I, poor monster, fond as much on him, and she, mistaken, seems to dote on me. What will become of this? As I am man, my state is desperate for my master's love. As I am woman, now alas the day, what thriftless sighs shall poor Olivia breathe? Oh, time, thou must untangle this, not I. It is too hard a knot for me to untie. Oh,
Oh, done.
poor Viola. Poor thing. What a hot mess she's in.
All right. So jumping right into the next Olivia and Viola scene, we are going to switch roles just because they're so great and we both wanted to play them all. So here we are again. But I'm Viola this time.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful Anjali is Olivia. Hair down, hair up, hair down.
I'm a girl again. You guys, it's Clark Kent with his glasses. Look, I'm suddenly a girl. Ta-da!
Okay, so I mean, Viola's gone back. Count Orsino is like, try again, try again. But at this point, the only thing that's really different is that Viola has completely fallen in love with her boss, Count Orsino. And well, I guess she was like that during the monologue as well. But she's really a goner, and it's quite frustrating.
She's a goner.
She's a
And
goner. It was Olivia. Olivia's a goner for Cesario, aka Viola. So let's see what happens here.
Let the garden door be shut and leave me to my hearing. Give me your hand, sir.
My duty, madam, and most humble service.
What is your name?
Cesario is your servant's name, fair princess.
My servant, sir. 'Twas never merry world since lowly feigning was called compliment. Your servant to the Count Orsino, youth.
And he is yours, and his must needs be yours. Your servant's servant is your servant, madam.
For him, I think not on him, for his thoughts they were blanks rather than filled with me.
Madam, I come to whet your gentle thoughts on his behalf.
Oh, by your leave, I pray you, I bade you never speak of him again. But would you undertake another suit? I had rather hear you to solicit that than music from the spheres.
Dear lady,
Give me leave, beseech you. I did send after the last enchantment you did hear a ring in chase of you. So did I abuse myself, my servant, and I. Fear me, you. Under your hard construction must I sit, to force that on you in a shameful cunning, which you knew none of yours. What might you think? Have you not set mine honor at the stake, and baited it with all the unmuzzled thoughts that tyrannous heart can think? To one of your receiving enough is shown, a cypress, not a bosom, hideth my heart. So let me hear you speak.
I pity you.
Oh, that's a degree to love.
No, not agrees, for 'tis vulgar proof that very oft we pity enemies.
Oh, why then methinks 'tis time to smile again. Oh, world, how apt the poor are to be proud. If one should be a prey, how much the better to fall before the lion than the wolf. The clock upbraids me with the waste of time. Be not afraid, good youth, I will not have you. And yet, when wit and youth is come to harvest, you were as like to reap a proper man. There lies your way, due west.
Then westward ho! Grace and good disposition attend your ladyship. You'll nothing, madam, to my lord by me.
Nay, I prithee, tell me what thou think'st of me.
That you do think you are not what you are.
If I think so, I think the same of you.
And think you're right. I am not what I am.
Oh, would you were as I would have you be.
Better, madam, than I am. I wish it might, for now I am your fool.
Oh, what a deal of scorn looks beautiful in the contempt and anger of his lip. A murderous guilt shows not itself more soon than love would seem hid. Love's night is noon. Cesario, by the roses of the spring, by maidhood, honor, truth, and everything, I love thee so that maugre all thy pride, nor wit nor reason can my passion hide. Do not extort thy reasons from this clause, for that I woo, thou therefore hast no cause, but rather reason thus, with reason fetter. Love sought is good, but given unsought better.
By innocence I swear, and by my youth, I have one heart, one bosom, and one truth, and that no woman has, nor never none shall be mistress of it, save I alone. And so adieu, good madam. Nevermore will I my master's tears to you deplore.
Yet come again, for thou perhaps mayst move that heart which now abhors to like his love.
So silly.
It's
All right.
such silliness. Thank you so much, Blizzaga 101, for donating. And welcome to the folks who just came in. We have raised $228, which is delightful. And on the Instagram, we raised another 100. So yay us. Yay, Shakespeare wins.
I'm excited.
So lovely. It's so lovely. Thank you guys so much. It is a little past 1, So we are over time, but are you guys interested in hearing maybe one or two more monologues before we go?
I'm interested in hearing your monologue, Anjali, so I'm going to say yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm interested in hearing your monologue, so let's do it.
All right.
Let's.
And
Do
if you
Kate
don't
first?
want to hear them, you can just close the window, and that's okay.
Exactly.
Um, all right, so we're just going to jump into it, and I want Anjali to have the last word because I think she's the better actress. But I'm just going to say that you don't have to say anything, Anjali. Be quiet. So I figured it was appropriate because we are raising money for animals, and my animal is named Petruchio, that I play Kate, and I was really lucky to play Kate. I love Taming of the Shrew. Taming of the Shrew is a tricky play, and it's often done in a way that I don't like at all. And for a long time, I was like, I don't like that play. No way. And then I studied Shakespeare at RADA, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London, and part of the course was to go see lots of plays. And I was so lucky to see Amanda Gilbreth play Kate in the Royal Shakespeare Company's production of Taming of the Shrew and Tamer Tamed. They did them both back to back over and over again in the West End. And it changed my life. And I just sat there and fell in love with every line that came out of their mouths. And I realized that I think the best way to do Taming of the Shrew is as a love story. And when it's forced into this kind of weird feminist, against women and men, it really doesn't, it's just like listening to nails on a chalkboard. But when it's a story about two awkward people wrestling it out to be together, I really understand that. I feel like I'm one of those socially awkward people, and oftentimes these other plays about love are very sweet packages where a person is just a simple, loving, lovable person. Well, Kate is not lovable, and nor is Petruchio, but they find each other through the wrestling and the mistakes. So I just love this play for all those reasons, and I was really glad that when I played it, my director was really open to that interpretation. And so we played it with love. This final speech is very tricky, and anyone who does believe in equality of the sexes is going to have trouble with it. I certainly did, but it was a great gift to me. I had just started a long-term relationship, and I am a hard-headed, strong lady, and this was a great teacher, this one, because I had to spend weeks getting my brain around what I was saying. And a lot of it is about sort of surrendering to one's partner. But Anjali and I were talking about this yesterday, and how there's a little phrase of you can either be partnered or married or right. You can choose. And to me, that's a lot of practicing of grace. If you want to just be argumentative all the time, it's a constant balance of standing up for oneself and then also hearing the other person. So I think that
I feel like the word surrendering, even if it's in this monologue, it's not even what's so lovely about it is that the way that you play this and the way that we've talked about this play, it's more that the two of them have come to an understanding that we have bigger battles to fight in the world. I got you, you got me.
yes.
I'm gonna hook you up in this moment and show everybody in this moment that I'm your lady, because I know that this is how we're going to be partners in the world, and
Yeah.
there's a mutual respect, and that is something that very rarely gets played in this particular play, in this particular role.
Yeah, and I also like the idea, and I see this with Anjali and someone special.
I don't know who you're talking about.
But this sense of like, I will treat you like a king, and you will treat me like a queen. So this is Kate has finally come around. And one thing to realize about Kate, everybody spends the whole play talking about how much she talks and how loud she is. And she says the least. She has so little dialogue, it's unbelievable until we get to this speech. So I'm just going to dive into it now.
Before you do though, let's set up the scene, like what's happened right before this.
All right. So everybody, we've gotten married and everyone's placed, and I've gone off and we've sort of beaten each other down and wrestled around, and now we're back in town with all of our friends and all of my family. And my family doesn't really stand by me. They think I'm a big bruiser. And everyone is placing bets about which woman will surrender to her man and will be a good wife. And of course, everyone is betting against Kate. And they've called in a few other women and they've refused and been like, I'm busy, I'm enjoying myself. No. And then Kate, who again has been known as this big, wild woman, comes in and says, Fie. Unknit that threatening, unkind brow, and dart not scornful glances from those eyes to wound thy lord, thy king, thy governor. It blots thy beauty as frost do bite the meads, confounds thy fame as whirlwinds shake fair buds, and in no sense is meet or amiable. A woman moved is like a fountain troubled, muddy, ill-seeming, thick, bereft of beauty. And while it is so none so dry or thirsty would deign to sip or touch one drop of it, thy husband is thy Lord, thy life, thy keeper, thy head, thy sovereign, one that cares for thee, and for thy maintenance commits his body to painful labor, both by sea and land, to watch the night in storms, the day in cold, whilst thou liest warm at home, secure and safe, and craves no other tribute at thy hands but love, fair looks, and true obedience. Too little payment for so great a debt. Such duty as the subject owes the prince, even such a woman oweth to her husband, and when she is froward, peevish, sullen, sour, and not obedient to his honest will, what is she but a foul, contending rebel and graceless traitor to her loving lord? I am ashamed that women are so simple to offer war, when they should kneel for peace or seek for rule, supremacy, and sway, when they are bound to serve, love, and obey. Why are our bodies soft and weak and smooth, unapt to toil and trouble in the world, but that our soft conditions and our hearts should well agree with our external parts? Come, come, you froward and unable worms. My mind hath been as big as yours, my heart as great, my reason haply more to bandy word for word and frown for frown. But now I see our lances are but straws, our strength as weak, our weakness past compare, that seeming to be most, which we indeed least are. So then veil your stomachs, for it is no boot, and place your hand below your husband's foot, in token of which duty, if he please, my hand is ready. May it do him ease. There you go.
I love it so much. You launched into it and I couldn't hide, and then I felt like I couldn't put my
No, I just want you as my audience. No offense to everybody watching, but I like it when Anjali watches me.
It's so funny because, you know, even knowing how you're playing it and knowing the backstory of like the idea of the partnership and everything, there's still those words in there that to us at this moment in time, it can be so like hard to hear, but the setup of the play is so beautiful that way. And the way you described it, I wish I could have seen your production, because I've never seen it done that way. You know, like we talked about, more often than not, Kate is portrayed as kind of like broken by the end. And that's not what it's about. It's not at all what it's about. It's much more about, like we talked about in my relationship, where like every now and then you realize, like not every now and then, but once you've been in it a while, you're like, why are we fighting about stupid shit? Like, why are we, we don't need to fight. Do we really need to spend our energy fighting? Like, I can give you that, and I can get, you can, and like, we can let these things slide, not because we're settling, but because we know we're serving the bigger partnership. We're serving the empire that we are creating by not arguing about hangers, like or whatever silly things people might be arguing about. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So will you
Okay.
do yours? Because I just love it.
I will. I'm going to put out a disclaimer here, everybody, that this is essentially a slightly cold reading because I haven't had a chance to relook at this since I did it 20 years ago. But because strangely enough, I'm not 13. I know I look it. But this is a monologue of Juliet's that is just, it's beautiful, and it is full of the fiery love of youth. And she is, if you guys have seen West Side Story, this is basically when Maria is singing Tonight and waiting for Tony to come to her. And for Juliet, that's exactly what's happening. She's just waiting for night to come because she knows that Romeo is going to come to her at night and they are going to finally be together. And she is all of her sexuality, all of her romance, like everything is just bubbling up inside her, and she just cannot wait to see him. Gallop apace, you fiery-footed steeds, towards Phoebus' lodging. Such a wagoner as Phaeton would whip you to the west and bring in cloudy night immediately. Spread thy close curtain, love-performing night, that runaways' eyes may wink, and Romeo leap to these arms, untalked of and unseen. Lovers can see to do their amorous rites by their own beauties, or if love be blind, it best agrees with night. Come, civil night, thou sober-suited matron, all in black, and learn me how to lose a winning match, played for a pair of stainless maidenhoods. Hood my unmanned blood bathing in my cheeks within thy black mantle, till strange love grown bold think true love act with simple modesty. Come night, come Romeo, come thou day in night, for thou wilt lie upon the wings of night, whiter than new snow on a raven's back. Come, gentle night, come, loving black-browed night, give me my Romeo. And when he shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garish sun. Oh, I have bought the mansion of a love, but not possessed it. And though I am sold, not yet enjoyed, so tedious is this day, as is the night before some festival to an impatient child that hath new robes and may not wear them. Oh, here comes my nurse, and she brings news, and every tongue that speaks but Romeo's name speaks heavenly eloquence.
Step in as the nurse here.
And here comes the nurse to tell me, BTW, shit went horribly wrong. BTW, your boy Romeo just killed Tybalt. And that kind of happened. Oops, spoiler alert.
Hey, thanks everyone for attending.
Guys, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Anjali, for she really took this over in a wonderful way and got you all here and got us up on YouTube. And also thank you, Danny.
Yes, Bonnie, our beautiful mod and producer. Everybody
doing this alone in a closet without any of you, without Anjali, without Danny. I don't know how to do anything on the computer. So thank you so much for being our audience. And thank you, Anjali, for saying yes to this project. It's amazing how many people say no. And the fact that you said yes allowed so many people to enjoy your talents. And also it's extraordinary that we raised so much so quickly for one of our greatest causes or favorite causes. So thank you. I'm so grateful.
Thank you, sweet thing. And everybody, what's also awesome about the YouTube, which I did, this is the first time I'm doing a live fundraiser on YouTube. We will be putting this video up on my channel, so it will live there in perpetuity. And anytime you go to visit, anyone wants to donate to the ASPCA, there will be a link there. So people can donate to the doggies and the kitties and the horsies and the bunnies and all the furry creatures. There is a bear in Shakespeare, so I kind of feel it's appropriate to exhume. That's right. That's right. So see, we've got all sorts of animals.
You should do that monologue next time with your dog.
Okay, we'll do that next time.
Okay.
That'll be fun. Charlie is he's not exactly a stage dog. He's not very. He doesn't like to be directed. He does like to pose for the camera, but he doesn't like to be directed. So thank you, you guys. For anybody who wants to share this, also there's going to be another one at 5 p.m. 5
p.m.
Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And everyone who is interested, go check out the BAFTA Game Awards, which are happening, I believe, right now. We were like your lead up to the BAFTA Game Awards. Go cheer on Laura Bailey. Go cheer on all the people who are nominated. Very, very cool stuff happening. And I love you guys. Be safe. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And we will see you anon, as they say in Shakespeare.
Good night. Good night.
Good night,
Party such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till it be morrow.